Hello, welcome to Mr. Pat's 31 Days of Halloween. As you know by now, this is year 10 that I've been doing this. Over the years, I always have problems picking out what I want to do first. I want to get my best foot forward, and I want something that people would actually want to watch. Now, since I have more than double the followers that I had last year, it makes it even tougher. So for today, I went with something that I watched a few years ago and loved, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that the sequel was already out on Netflix. So today I'm going with The Babysitter, Killer Queen. Let me start off by saying I'm going to do my best to judge this movie on its own merits. I reviewed The Babysitter 2 years ago, and it was the surprise of the year for me. The Babysitter was fun, ridiculous, plus any scene involving the jock, Max, was an absolute blast to watch. This movie picks up 2 years after the events of the first. Cole is now a junior in high school, and he's become an outcast. For one, he wears a three-piece suit to school, and no one believes that the events of the first movie happened. It gets explained that all the bodies just disappeared, so people, even his parents, believe it was all in his head. Even his best friend Melanie, who was a part of the madness, doesn't do much to back up his story. He spent the past 2 years labeled as crazy, and it's when he decides to take a lake trip with Melanie that his past finally catches up with him. Part of the fun of the first was once things start happening, it gets out of hand fast, and then it keeps spiraling into insanity. This one, the same thing happens, but there's a twist to it that really shocked me in the moment. Without giving anything away, it took me a few seconds to process what I just saw. Now, this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailers and all the marketing materials, but the original baddies from the first one comes back. And I'm happy to report Max once again steals the show. It's such a fun dynamic between Cole and Max. Max, still shirtless, still trying to kill Cole, but it's so funny because he genuinely likes and respects the kid, even after he kills him in the first one. Now in this movie, even when Cole is attacking him, Max is proud. There's a scene where the jock is swinging around an axe at our hero and his newly introduced friend Phoebe. The two start ineffectively fighting back, much to Max's disappointment. Not because they're hurting him, because Max expects more from Cole. In the first movie, he takes a break from trying to murder him so Cole can confront a bully. When Cole eventually does kick him in the nuts, Max keels over in pain and calls out to him proudly, "Finally found my dick, Cole." You can tell the actor Robbie Amell is having a whole lot of fun playing this character. It's hard to put into words just how funny their interactions are, and you just have to see it for yourself. Granted, the sequel isn't as good as the first, there's an in-joke about that too, but the cat and mouse dynamic between the two of them more than makes up for this movie's shortcomings. It's by no means a perfect movie. Anytime there's an adult on screen, I cringed. They're just flat, one-dimensional characters, with the possible exception of the father, played by Ken Marino. The movie moves really quick once we start getting to the action, but then slows down to a crawl when we flash to an adult doing or saying something out of the ordinary, as a way of saying, "Hey, look at these kooky characters. Let's have them say something profane out of the blue to get shock laughs." Although, it does at least have one instance where an adult character says something that is mildly funny at first, and then it gets to a good laugh at the end. Now the adults and then just a really bizarre fight scene at the end prevented me from loving it. I hate to say this movie is grounded in reality, for obvious reasons, but I mean outside of people exploding into blood, more or less what happens to these people is realistic. Like, someone gets shot, they get hurt, and they bleed. That all gets tossed by the wayside at the end when the movie takes a weird page out of the incredible Scott Pilgrim vs. the World playbook, but it's nowhere near as good and with about 1,000 more quick cuts every second. Overall, I enjoyed it. Cole is a likable protagonist as the scrappy underdog who is somehow incredible at causing other people's deaths. The original antagonists are a joy, and it's really fun seeing them all together again. Like I've mentioned multiple times, Max is the best part once again, and the movie handles him perfectly. The way he switches from murderer to joking friend and back to murderer is so much fun and frightening. And to this movie's credit, You get just enough of his shenanigans to keep you wanting more, but not grow tired of his shtick. Now to the ending. Trailers show you that Samara Weaving as the homicidal bee comes back, so that's not a spoiler either. But the movie does manage to slip one more surprise in there. It's hard to call anything heartwarming into a movie that has so much over-the-top murder and satanic cults, but I think it fits here, and it does manage to get one last laugh out of Max. Another great part of the first one was the relationship between Bee and Cole. It was really sweet until she, tried to kill him. I don't want to give too much away from this movie because it was a very pleasant twist and I really enjoyed how the movie ended. To sum it up, it's fun but flawed. The first one was unique, but by 2020 it's kind of lost the same impact it had. It's still a very bloody, goofy, and fun ride that I encourage you to check out. 7 Dr. Chainsaws.